I truly do believe that Stabbomancer is one of the best classes in Wonderlands. They pair so well with so many different classes. They bring a lot to the table in the skill tree. And today I'm going to show you how to make a melee build using Graveborn and Stabbomancer. Now I know my previous video, our Krieg 2.0 type of build, we had Graveborn and Stabbomancer, but this one is completely different. We are doing raw melee damage, and would you believe it if I told you this build uses a blue quest weapon and 3 blue jewelry pieces? As you guys know, Wonderlands dropped their first content pack yesterday, which was kind of a disappointment and time gated as well. However, they also increased the Chaos Chamber levels from 20 to 35, so you know we had to grind those out. We grinded through the Chaos levels with this build, this melee build I'm about to show you, from 20 to 35, did not change a single piece of gear on our way up, and it feels amazing at 35. Of course, we're going to get more volatile gear, more chaotic gear, all that good stuff, and make upgrades along the way, but it feels really good, and it's a great build that you can grind for, that's easy to obtain the items, at least half of the items, from side quest rewards. So if you are a fresh 40 and you haven't done a lot of side quests, you can go back, get these done, get the rewards for them, and use them in this build when you go through the Chaos Chamber. Alright, let's jump right into the skill tree. So for Graveborn and Stabbomancer, you can use any action skill you want. I like Reaper of Bones from the Shadows is also great. And Ghostblade, you know I love all of these. Dire Sacrifice. Dire Sacrifice is not going to be your biggest damage, so I would stick with the other ones for now. And then down in the Graveborn skill tree, we've got pretty typical points in here. We don't have to worry about the wonderful harvest bug anymore because that was fixed in yesterday's patch. And then we are putting 1 point into Dread Covenant because we're not really relying on our companions all that much. However, this is for Reaper of Bones. It will keep you in Reaper of Bones because you'll sacrifice your Demi-Lich to stay in your action skill longer. So if you're using a lot of Reaper of Bones, then go for that. If not, you could put the point somewhere else. Then over to Stabbomancer, the bulk of our points are going into this tree just because it is so amazing. We're taking a lot of damage skills. Follow up is super duper important, especially if you're using a live wire, because your live wire chains when you melee, so every other melee is going to chain, and that lightning damage is going to build up gun damage, which means your next melee attack deals increased damage without having to actually shoot anything, so that's super important. And then we're going all the way down the Stabbomancer tree, and we are going to be getting Executioner's Blade. This helps us do a little more ranged melee. Now let's take a look at the gear. Look at all those blue items. We're going to get into all of those in a moment, but first, our melee weapon is going to be the Snake Stick. Another great option for your melee is the Twin Soul as well, but you're going to want to look for Caustic on your melee item, and for Twin Soul, Warrior and Caustic perform the best for us. So you're going to want to look for really nice damage dealing weapons, of course, and then for your enchantments, you're going to want to do either gain 30% melee damage against bosses and badasses, or gain 30% melee damage against enemies above 70% total HP. Another honorable mention for the enchantment is gain 10% melee damage for a short duration after each consecutive melee attack. Next up is going to be our main weapon, and that is the live wire. This guy is going to chain damage as you melee. It chains gun damage, which is going to keep up our skill follow up, and it's going to do damage to lots of different enemies. So basically with live wire and with contagion, we're going to be able to just whittle all these enemies down. It's going to spread status effects and just kill everything around us while we're focusing on one target. For the enchantment on the live wire, you want to go for the Graveborn enchantment here. If you're not going to be running Reaper of Bones, you could go for action skill active lightning damage if you're going to run something like Ghostblade or From the Shadows. Another option is to increase your melee damage by 40%. However, I like to increase lightning damage because that's going to give your live wire more damage and also you more damage. Our second weapon and our debuffing weapon is going to be the Tooth Raider of Murky Depths. You guys saw this in the intro footage. This is a quest reward from the quest Cash for Teeth in the Weep Wild Dankness. What makes this sniper so amazing is that the target is going to take 5% increased melee damage for each tooth that's stuck in the target, and you shoot 9 tooth at a time. Sorry, you shoot 9 teeth at a time. So that's going to be 45% increased melee damage per shot. So if you're doing 2 shots, you're going to be getting 90% extra damage. And this is really, really great for debuffing bosses or tanky targets. And honestly, I've kept this weapon out while I'm meleeing different bosses and stuff, and I'm still doing so much damage, as you guys saw in the beginning clips. You could also use other crossbolt type weapons that have this text on them as well, but the percentage isn't as high and you don't shoot as many shots all at once. So it's just a 1-2 shot and you've got a lot of bonus damage. Up next are these 2 blue rings. They are both Shark-lescent rings, as you can see here. We've got a crit hit damage and a crit hit chance. Doesn't really matter what you get on here. Obviously, melee perks are going to be a huge bonus. However, we just want this 15% bonus melee damage rotating between elements. You're going to get bonus melee damage, and it just rotates between elements. So not only is this going to help us with our Stabbomancer exploit their weakness in order to get all those different status ticks up there to get that debuff, we're just adding damage to our melees. These Shark-lescent rings are the reward from the side quest Raiders of the Last Shark, which is also in the Weepwild Dankness. Let's go ahead and finish up the blue gear with our final item, which is this blue necklace here, the Harmonious Dingle Dangle. Now this guy we found in the vending machines actually, but the red text says destroy the divide between you. This will only spawn with 1, sometimes 2 passives. It's initially a quest reward from Emotion of the Ocean, which is located in Brighthoof. But don't skip out on those vendors, guys. Take a look at them every single time. If you see those blue items, you never know what you could get. But this is giving us 69% status effect damage, which is huge. Another option is to run Thurge. This necklace is going to give you action skill cooldown rate, which is super great because we've got a lot of long cooldown action skills. However, the status effect damage is so insane that you're not even going to need your action skill to kill a lot of tanky enemies. Over to our shield, we're running, you guessed it, the Cursed Wit. We have this enchantment when health is below 50%, regen 5%, and gain 30% damage dealt. This is excellent on bosses, great in sticky situations, and overall I haven't found a better shield. If you're looking for some other options, you can pick up the Ancient Deity. Make sure you get that plus 10% dark magic damage on it, or the Transistor can also be a great option. On this one I got Roid as well, which is going to give us 20% melee damage while your ward is depleted, so it's all around a bonus in damage. For our class item, we're actually running the Duelist. This is Stabbomancer Clawbringer, but we're running it because it's going to give us potent poisons and exploit their weakness, which are 2 very strong skills. You want to get as many Stabbomancer skill points in there as possible, obviously, because Clawbringer is just a wash. And then I really like the Corrupted Plate Mail for survivability. It's going to convert 30% of our damage to dark magic damage, which we already have bonuses to dark magic damage because we are in Graveborn. So it's going to keep us alive, plus we're going to do more damage with it. However, there are so many great options for your class item, and you can really pick and choose what you want and switch it up whenever you want, really. You can go ahead and get the poison status effect, doing the explosions. This was working out really well for us. Another option, if you're running from the shadows a lot, is to go with the Smart Armor, which is going to lower your crit chance but increase your crit hit damage. This one can be very powerful for boss fights. And then another fun one is the Calamity. This is going to increase fire damage by 10% for each unique enemy hit for a brief period. This is really great for those ad clearing phases. But really, there are so many options, so definitely keep that in mind. And then lastly, for a spell, we're going for the Buffmeister for that melee damage increase. You want to make sure it says bonk at the bottom there, which is going to give your melee a boost. You could also go with pew for your guns, or ka-chow for ability, zap for spell. It's up to you really what that second one is going to be. The Buffmeister also gives you movement, which helps you get around and get to all those melee targets. For the enchantment here, this is super important. After casting a spell, your next melee attack deals 40% damage with increased knockback for a moderate duration. This is really great for those big targets. It will knock them back, which is fun to see. Plus, you're going to get 40% damage on your next melee attack every time you cast a spell. So this is when you're doing those big combos where you're buffing up by casting your spell, casting your action skill, and going after the big target. So that's it for the skills and gear. Some other gear alternatives for you guys if you do need ranged weapons when you're fighting. For instance, Bernadette in the Dragon Lore fight, there is really no way to melee her at all if you don't count like Ethereal Blade and stuff like that. So pick up a good Queen's Cry, maybe with a taser attachment, and definitely make sure to get that tooth gun on whatever enemy you're trying to kill from range, and it'll help take them down a lot easier. But I will say the main reason that I love this build so much as a melee build is because it doesn't rely on percentage procs like Blast Chill or something that you have to hope that you hit those procs in order to do damage to the boss. In a lot of cases, you're not even using your action skill to get melee damage out. So I hope you guys enjoy this build. I'm going to let a little bit of gameplay play out here so you can see what it's all about. Let me know in the comments what you think. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.